The ladies have heard that Miss Yuria Primrose has returned, and the girl is said to be very successful in business. Everyone already knows this story, a young lady who left her family and achieved everything on her own. It was Yuria Primrose who entered the list of the 10 richest people in the empire. That's exactly it. And this brilliant miss not only entered the list of the richest people in the empire, but headed it. How rich is Lady Primrose if her dress is embroidered with such stones and in such quantity? Maybe Yuria is just naive, and these stones are not real at all. They are real. The main character does not wear fakes. Her cosmetics company, Unit, is incredibly successful, and they are official partners of the Imperial Trade Guild. And now her company also deals with jewelry. By the way, gossip girls have very dry skin. Let them come to Unit. They will select a moisturizing cream for them. The quality of the products is guaranteed. The lady was so ashamed, she could not even imagine that such a young miss was so well versed in trade. Yuria has been interested in this since she was a child, and the fact that the gossips don't know about it means that she is supposedly not worthy of their attention. For these empty-headed Yuri, only Lilica's strange older sister, let Miss allow everything to be explained, will not allow it. If she had said it so abruptly earlier, a storm would have arisen. But now even the highest nobility obediently lower their eyes before Yuri. She is the eldest daughter of the esteemed Duke Primrose and has an older brother, Jixon, and a half-sister, Lilica. The sister was born illegitimately, but was nevertheless accepted into the family, and with her helpfulness, she quickly captured everyone's attention. Yuria was always dignified, reserved, and did not please everyone in order to achieve her goals, so they were constantly compared. The estranged daughter of the Duke's legitimate wife and the illegitimate, obsequious daughter, everyone loves stories about different sisters. So the native daughter was pushed out of the family into the shadows, but Yuria had hope for a blessing. This is an ability that can be used to revive any plant. A wonderful magical power that makes plants bloom. At that time, unrest began in society. Cosmetics containing lead took many lives of noble ladies. With the help of Yuri's power, natural cosmetics were created. This caused a stir in society. Everyone was interested in cosmetics, aristocrats, and ordinary citizens, and Yuria became brighter than the sun. The girl became the richest person in the empire without anyone's help. Moreover, the heroine served society and saved many lives with a safe composition. And of course, there were immediately many vultures who wanted to steal her honestly earned wealth. Why didn't the older sister write a single letter to Lilik? The stepsister still doesn't change. Lilica was so worried about Yuria, she left the family, but why stop communicating with her only sister? Yuria has so many precious stones. Does she really like them? She threw away her father's diamond necklace. Lilica thought that she didn't like this. She just didn't want the girl to have anything to do with Duke Primrose. Is it really possible to treat your own father like that? The performance for the distinguished public begins again. Of course, the Duke of Primrose sometimes grumbles at his eldest daughter, but this is too much. Yuria is so cold towards her closest people. She has always been like this. It was stupid to expect changes. The only one who will never change her rotten insides is Lilica. In public, a poor and weak illegitimate child against a strong and cold official daughter. The rotten bastard created this image for years, denigrating Yuri behind his back. Did Daddy really hear everything? How awkward it turned out. How can Yuri call his own father that? He is not a stranger to her. Duke Primrose knows that his eldest daughter doesn't like him, but this can't be done. No, Daddy should just be angry with his sister. You can't just give up on your family, no matter what it is. Let your daughter take the Duke's hand. He will accompany Yuri. And what did the main character expect from these scavengers? Then the girl's older brother called out to her about the first dance with Jixon. Ugh, can't you forget about the feud? After all, my brother is trying to make peace with Yuria. Let him instill this in the minds of the stupid gossips. Then another young man ran up. Let Yuri leave these vultures and dance with him, even though there were no tender feelings between them. Veer, the pathetic brat, proposed to Lilik in front of Yuria and even dared to come back here. Another parade of hypocrisy, a pathetic sight. No one even thinks about how they treated Yuri before. One betrayed Yuri and proposed to the fake bitch right in front of her, enjoying her pain with her. The second always believed every word of the lying snake and mercilessly poisoned Yuria without even hearing her side. But the worst thing is that the father poisoned his own daughter to please his false offspring. What kind of reconciliation are we talking about? These vile little people are executed for their crimes in the main square. None of this filth is worthy of even coming close to Yuri. Let them finally remember this and never forget it again. Yuri's gentleman arrived late. No big deal. It happened because of her personal assignment. It can't be. Everyone sees it, or it just seems that way to the vile family, who is Yuria's partner. The girl warmly pressed herself against the handsome young man, who looked at her with adoration and incredible softness. The transformation of the main character from a hunted shadow into a bright sun is just beginning. Yuria remembers her death well. She begged her father and brother for help, the icy floor, and her father's voice devoid of sympathy. This is the last mercy that the father gives to his daughter. He does not want to take the sword, so let Yuri drink poison. A father offers his daughter poison, and the bastard calls it mercy. Then the heroine thought that it would be better to go to her mother than to live such a life. The main character took a sip of poisoned wine, and her body was immediately pierced by a sharp pain. The poison was highly toxic. These vile offspring did not even wish a quick and painless death on Yuria. The older brother then called their father too soft-hearted. He would allow Yuria to die so easily. After everything this bastard has done, she should die a long and painful death. Poison is too humane. Let Jixen watch his language. Yuria is still his real older sister. That's not true. Ever since Lilica arrived in their family estate, Jixen has only one sister. This rotten family even began to plan in front of her how to get rid of all traces of Yuria's existence. While the girl was choking on blood and dying before their eyes on the cold floor of her home. How can the life of such an honest, strong, and outstanding girl end like this? In the eyes of these scoundrels, there is only disgust and disdain, as if there is some kind of garbage on the floor in front of them. The man she loved betrayed Yuri, and her father and brother decided to kill her, greedily peering into her last seconds of life. It was all pointless. And why did Yuria even return to this hell? She just wanted to escape. The main character, under cover of night, threw a cloak over herself and began to run. However, her escape was quickly revealed, and the girl's hand was firmly grabbed by a man's. It was Veer, Yuria's former fiancé, whom she once loved and protected very much, and it was he who sent her to certain death. And at that moment, the girl realized that absolutely no one loved her in this world. More precisely, in her entire life, there was only one single person whose love could not be doubted. Her mother was the only one who loved her daughter, but she recently died. In her childhood, little Yuria could forget about absolutely everything in the warm embrace of her mother. The main character could not even imagine that everything would turn out this way, and that her death would be from the supposedly closest people to her. Is this really how it will all end? Is this really how Yuria's story will end, just as it began? Finally, her eyes, exhausted from tears, closed as soon as she lost consciousness. Her memories returned to her. There was a book in front of the girl. It was a romantic work. Books like these are currently at the peak of their popularity. The girl has already managed to read it, and once she starts getting to know the storyline, she won't be able to stop. This novel is called Please Love the Future Princess. The main character's name is Lilica. She was a simple girl, but she became the daughter of a duke. Despite her non-noble origins, she became an aristocrat. At first, Lilica's father and brother looked down on her, but soon she won them over with her false pretense. Having driven the other sister out of the family, the eldest legitimate daughter was the main villain of the novel. The plot of this novel is already quite hackneyed, but it is all very good, because the main character is not who she claims to be. Yuria Primrose, the eldest daughter of the Duke and his late wife, is a typical antagonist and supporting character. The eldest daughter constantly suffers from a breakdown due to jealousy towards the main character, but everything is not at all as it seems at first glance. And why did the girl only realize this now? She was this very eldest daughter of the Duke in the novel Yuria Primrose, a secondary heroine of a novel with a tragic fate that the girl read in her past life. As soon as the rotten and fake Lilica appeared on the doorstep of their home, she turned Yuria into a villain in the eyes of others. At first, the deceitful and vile Lilica made her father and brother consider little Yuria an obstacle to the well-being of their family. Her closest and dearest people hated the girl and planned how to get rid of her. The rotten heroine set up Yuri, slandered and hounded him, and Yuri herself could not stand up for herself. Soon everyone took Lilica's side. Yuria's fiancé also betrayed her by spending the night with a deceitful servant and breaking off his engagement to her older sister. Everyone hated and despised the poor villain, although the real rotten offspring of the novel was always its main character, Lilica. It's all about that damn original story, but now the girl can rewrite it and expose the fake insides to everyone. In the life of a minor character, the only ray of light was her mother. And now the girl goes straight to her warm embrace, in which everything will be forgotten. Scarlet blood flowed from the heroine's mouth, her strength was leaving her. Finally, she would be free from the house and people she hated. A vile family of ignorant and greedy traitors who recognize only their own benefit. The miserable and unbearable life that the vile Lilica provided, approaching the wealth and title of the Yuria family. And in the end, such a pathetic ending. Or is it not the end yet? Where is this girl? What is happening? Yuria immediately opened her eyes in fear. This female voice calling her seemed painfully familiar to her. How is Yuria feeling? Mother is so scared for her dear daughter. This is really her mother. Facial features, soft and caring eyes, warm hands, gentle voice. This is truly her beloved mother. But how is this possible, since her mother died, as did the girl herself, as did Yuria's health? Need to check the temperature. Yuria immediately froze. She missed these touches so much. Through these warmest and most tender hands in the world, her mother is nearby. She can touch her again. Tears immediately flowed down the girl's cheeks. Her voice trembled. Where are she and her mother now? Apparently, the daughter is still feeling unwell, or she had some kind of nightmare. They are at their family estate. The doctor said that the fever will soon go away and the daughter will get better. But all this couldn't have been a simple nightmare. It was all too realistic. It doesn't seem like a nightmare, and Yuria has already been reborn in this character's body once. So anything was possible here, and death was not so painful that she would have woken up long ago if she could. The girl is alive, although it looks more like paradise. But why didn't Yuria die? What is she saying? The mother can't even imagine how bad her daughter is, since she asks such questions. Why should such a young and charming girl die? She is only 19 years old. That is, how is it 19 years old? At the time of her murder, Yuria was older. Then a knock and a disgusting, cloying voice were heard. Here is where Mother is, and her children have already looked everywhere. Mother was visiting their older sister. Let Jixin and Lilica go into Yuria's room. She needs support now more than ever. Finally, the older sister woke up. Lilica was so happy. Yes, of course, she was happy to send Yuri to the next world. On the brother's face, there was an expression of contempt, which was cultivated in him by the vile Lilica. This falsely sweet smile and thin voice hide the disgusting insides. But this character has it all written on his face. He has the intelligence of a toothpick, and he is easy to control. The children arrived just in time. Mother needed to go see the doctor. Let them look after their sister. Lilica will look after her sister. Mother doesn't have to worry about anything. They will encourage their sister. Let the Duchess find a doctor. As soon as the bedroom door slammed shut, Lilica's poison poured out of Jixin's mouth, and Yuri was once again drawn to the imaginary illness. This cowardly manipulator never acted directly, only through the hands and tongues of others. How long can you pretend to be sick at 19? Yuria should be ashamed of something like this. Jixin speaks, but the rottenness of Lilica clearly wafts through the air. She spends all her strength to deprive Yuria of everything. Yuria had already heard something like this. Had the girl really returned to the beginning of the novel's plotline? All this could not have been just a hallucination and a game of an inflamed consciousness. The pain from the poison that Yuri's own father forced him to drink would not have been remembered so vividly. Yuria died in the winter after her 20th birthday. Her mother said that she is now only 19. This means that this is not a dream. But the girl was transported back a year. This is her second chance. Jixin still wouldn't stop indulging his fake sister. Stop pretending to be sick. Let Yuria already admit that she arranged all this to ruin Lilica's birthday. Then this pathetic character said that killing Yuri with poison was too humane. He was just a worthless puppet of Lilica. There is not a single person in this estate except for Mother Yuria. All members of her family are rotten and disgusting, just like Lilica. To say such a base thing still doesn't leave my head. Time has turned back, but people are still the same. Why is brother so cruel? Let sister not pay attention to him. Lilica is so glad that Yuria is okay. Let her rehearse some more. What a lame spectacle. This snake always acted only on the sly, using others. Behind this fake smile hides disgusting thoughts. This cowardly and greedy girl was obsessed with only wealth and status since childhood. Even in front of Yuri, she hid her rotten insides until the very end. Yuria is just pretending or still hasn't understood anything. This was all arranged by Lilica. Everything that Yuria has must belong to Lilik, and Yuria must die. It was easy to make everyone think that Yuria was the villain, but she couldn't even imagine that it was Lilica's doing. A hyena in sheep's clothing, the sisters kept their distance until Lilica revealed her ugly face. Yuria is so good at embroidery, maybe she can help her little sister. Lilica herself can't cope. Nothing ever works out for her, unlike the talented Yuria. At that time, the real Yuria did not yet know what was hidden behind such a harmless request. How could Yuria do such a thing, tear up the only thing that reminded Lilik of her mother? The father hid his eldest daughter? This is too much. Their family has tolerated Yuria's antics for too long. Why don't they listen to her? Does Yuria really want to say that Lilica herself ruined her mother's favorite scarf? The servants saw Yuria take it. Lilica asked to help her with embroidery, since she can't do anything herself. Yuri would never do something like that. Let this lying snake stop lying and tell the truth. It was Lilica who asked Yuri to take the handkerchief. Lilica just wanted her sister to help her with the embroidery. She never thought that she would tear the scarf. A brazen lie. The snake itself spoiled it by blaming Yuri. The servants immediately began to whisper among themselves. What a monstrous act. No matter how much Yuria hated her younger sister, to do this to the memory of her dead mother was simply inhumane. At that moment, everyone in the estate was already on the side of this cheap fake, but Yuria still didn't understand anything. Since then, the persecution of the rotten heroine has become more sophisticated and monstrous. The vile snake deprived the girl of everything, took it for herself through lies, turning Yuria into the villain of the novel. Why is sister so silent today? Does Yuria have a fever? Well guys, get ready. Now Yuria will start the game. Jixin said that his sister was pretending as always, she just wanted to ruin the holiday. Well, what does brother say? Sister will definitely come and make the holiday special. Another fake scene in the storyline, and it will turn against the scoundrel herself. Yuria was so looking forward to this holiday, and will definitely come. She congratulates her dear sister in advance. The heroine broke into a radiant smile. She is sure that this holiday will be unforgettable. Then Lilika's birthday really became unforgettable for the eldest daughter. The lying sister lied about the dress code, and Yuria was laughed at and mocked all evening. This will be Yuria's first move. The girl will change the plotline of the novel and take revenge on everyone who was involved in her murder. And the girl will start with the main culprits, Lilika, her father and brother. Now all the masks will be removed, revealing their vile faces. And then Yuri will not forget about the worthless traitor whom she once loved, or so it seemed to her. Marcel cheated on her right in front of Yuria and the entire public, and then carried out a non-death penalty. Young Lord Marcel Vieira, how could she not have seen through his pathetic soul right away? But he would still play his part. This time everything will be different. The girl will save her beloved mother. And the heroine will live happily, throw all the nasty people out of her life and live as she wishes. The first thing she will do is throw off the weakest character, but one who has acted no less terribly than the others. Yuria will not miss her second chance at anything. She must act to avoid a terrible end. And we need to start with the main villain's holiday, where the ex-fiancé will again play a key role. For Yuria's love and help, this worthless little man caught her and brought her to the end by force, in order to take her life. And even if you ever explain to these pathetic little people what they have done, they still will not understand their guilt. Marcel asked his current bride indifferently how she was feeling. The Lord was informed that her bride was ill. What a feigned concern. He plays his part disgustingly. How could the girl not notice something like this? Everything is so obvious. That stupid, empty face and voice never reflected any concern for the heroine. Yuria thought Marcel was taciturn, but he did come to visit her. So he is worried about Yuri, but even then Lilika was begging for his attention. And so Yuri was a pretext for meeting secret lovers in the next room. The girl felt something in the past, but she drove away all such thoughts, shielding these bastards. The former groom always proudly wore a handkerchief with his coat of arms in his breast pocket. However, the scarf did not bear the Vieira family crest, but the Primrose family crest. Since lovers often exchange handkerchiefs, he did not receive this handkerchief from Yuria. Yuria then presented Marcel with a gift for their engagement, a scarf that she decorated herself. But the scoundrel refused to accept it, since they were not yet married, and Yuria's scarf would be a burden for him. Why is Yuria so silent today? Is she really sick with something? What was that displeasure on that disgusting face? Marcel was clearly not used to such treatment from Yuria. She won't smile at him anymore. The girl is completely different. So they will get straight to the point. Yuria knows perfectly well that Veer is cowardly running behind her back to Lilika. Marcel immediately squealed in fear. What? This is all dirty gossip. He is a noble lord. It's funny. As expected from a nobody, he is so scared it will destroy his reputation, although he does not fully understand what it is. There is no need to justify your cowardly nature so ineptly and stupidly. Yuri knows everything perfectly well. The scoundrel clenched his fists. If Yuri was angry, then let him take it out on Marcel and not poison innocent Lilika. How funny, this innocent one will get rid of him and throw him off the cliff into the abyss in order to come out of the water dry. Let the fool be as impudent as he wants. You won't scare Yuri with this. She has already died twice. Nothing is scary to her. Marcel got it all wrong. Yuria wanted to say that she was very happy for her and her little sister. What? Yuri supports the young couple and wants to help them. And what is the ex-bride going to do? For a long time, Lady Primrose was confined to her bed, which Lilika took advantage of. Marcel heard this. The Lord did not visit Yuria as he was very busy with work. He was in the tavern. Finding herself between life and death, Yuria wondered if all this time she had only cared about her own happiness. A lie. But this is exactly what the liar was telling Marcel. Yuria was behaving like a little child. She was sorry that she had to deal with her. Breaking off an engagement is a common thing among aristocrats, but it's likely that Yuria's father won't allow it. However, the heiress of the Duchy of Primrose still has one idea on this matter. Marcel will listen to everything she says. The worthless and cowardly traitor will soon meet his end. Black crows circled over the Primrose estate, and clouds would now gather over all traitors. Luxurious carriages of noblemen were already approaching the rich mansion. All the guests rushed to congratulate the fake treasure of Duke Primrose, as Lilika called herself. The butler announced the appearance of the hero of the occasion, the birthday girl, young Miss Lilika. And here is Yuria's older sister. She's late. Does she really want to ruin her sister's holiday? This wicked lady here has been working on Yuria's reputation for a long time, but today, everything will change. This face, the first sincere emotion of surprise and disappointment, Yuri did not fall into her trap. This time, the Primrose's eldest daughter conformed to the general dress code, and her bullying was foiled. But the exposure of the main character's vile guise is just beginning. Everyone will find out how wrong they were about her. Then Lilika deceived Yuria's maid, saying that the guests would be in red and very flashy outfits. Although pink was the birthday girl's color and blue was for the guests, the scoundrel then made her look like a jealous woman, ready to do anything for attention. And now the pathetic meanness didn't work, and Yuria is the most beautiful of all at her birthday party. How much annoyance is in this ugly face. But these are not all the surprises for today for the birthday girl. This time the girl has prepared for this day. Everything is just beginning. It's time to introduce society to the nasty fake. Here all the guests began to whisper, "It can't be. This is Lady Uria's fiancé, but how is this possible? What's going on there? It's Lilika's birthday. All the attention should be only for her. What the heck? Why was Miss Uria's fiancé the only one to come to the party wearing a suit the same color as Lilika's?" Marcel went crazy. She lied to him about her love only to deprive Yuri of his fiancé. What is he doing? Lilika didn't tell anyone what color her dress would be, so how did this idiot manage to figure it out? Marcel is engaged to Lady Yuria, but these two are in the same color, which means there is a close relationship between them. Well, the guests have already started gossiping about their relationship behind Yuri's back. This shouldn't have come to light. Lilika has been pretending to be innocent for years, and she doesn't need this idiot at all. She should marry the future king. Nothing less. Marcel was simply mistaken. Not at all. After Lilika gave him a handkerchief embroidered with her name, he can't stand the fact that everyone thinks he's Yuri. She simply lied to him about her great love in order to drive Yuri out of this world, and he reveals her base act in front of everyone. It was very difficult for the Lord to shackle their love. There is no need to do this anymore. Here all the noble guests gasped. The traitor sat down on one knee in front of the birthday girl. Let Lady Lilika marry Lord Veer. She no longer has to hide her feelings from others. Now this worthless groom is Uria's puppet. The result exceeded all expectations. Bloody bastard, how dare this lord disgrace the Primrose family like that? Who does he think he is? There is a limit to everything. The head of the Primrose family slammed his fist on the table. This shameless man has made a laughingstock of the Primrose family. This upstart is trying to rise at their expense. Their poor daughter. How did she endure all this? That scoundrel must have broken her heart. This scoundrel has done his job well. The first step towards a fair ending has been taken. Father cares about what people say. If they say that Lilika and Marcel are a beautiful couple, he will not be against them. This is the last chance. If he gets married to Yuri, he will no longer be able to see Lilika. Marcel will act like a real man. Humiliating Yuri, he will reveal their love to the whole society. He put on a real show. The rumors will not die down anytime soon. How can one understand this? How base. He is my sister's fiancé. Yuria is fine. She doesn't want to be a hindrance to Lilika. What her father values most has suffered. The Primrose's reputation suffered, but what a blessing. No one will dare to denigrate their family. Tears appeared in the girl's eyes. She didn't want to disgrace her family. She was so sorry. What was Yuria saying? Yuria hopes that her younger sister and her ex-fiancé will be happy. My daughter is not guilty of anything. It was a bad act, and she has nothing to do with it. Apparently, the ex-fiancé had cooled towards Yuri, and Lilika rushed to console him, quickly bringing Lilika here. There was a gentle knock at the door, and Jixen's voice could be heard. Why did Duke Primrose have to send for Jixen and Lilika? Why didn't they come here themselves right away? Lilika is not guilty of anything. She gave the handkerchief to Marcel, but there is nothing between them. There is no need to break off Yuria's engagement. The snake will always find someone to push the dirty work onto, and it itself remains silent. Two can play like that. The father's fists clenched, the veins on them bulged. His son couldn't be so stupid, after all. The blood of the Dukes of Primrose flowed through him. What is this stupid offspring saying? Does he even understand the damage their family has suffered today? After the disrespect shown, the son decided to leave everything as it was. There would be no engagement. It would be a desecration of their family. But Jixen wanted to say that the main victim here was Lilika, and it would be better for the disgraceful person to shut his mouth now. And now the culprit of everything, why the hell did Lilika give a scarf to her older sister's fiancé? She must explain what this cowardly bitch will do. She has been acting on the sly all her life. She never had the courage to take a punch. Well, Yuri is very bad at embroidering. A blatant lie. That's why Yuria asked Lilika to do the embroidery instead of her, but there is nothing between them, she swears. She's so low. Marcel got it all wrong and offended poor Lilika. Even if we imagine that all this nonsense is true, how did Lilika herself come up with the idea of giving him a scarf? It's just that everyone here has a great education, but is it really that important who was born where? The snake is again playing on pity. Jixen already said that Dalika is innocent. It's all Marcel's fault. It's time to strike. Of course it doesn't matter, because Lilika is part of their family no matter what, no matter where she was born. Of course, Mother is absolutely right. Lilika did so much dirt to make herself an aristocrat. However, how did it happen that the young people's outfits matched? A direct shot to the head. That's exactly what Yuria wanted to say. It's the first time her mother has spoken so sternly. Well, this is what Lilika wanted to say. Well, a very clear answer. The main villain giggled nervously, cold sweat pouring down her face. It was just a coincidence. Of all the possible colors, Marcel chose Lilika's color by mistake, although blue was declared. And only 2 young people were wearing pink. This cannot be a coincidence. Mother is right. Yuri will understand everything. Sister should no longer hide her feelings, even if it was mean. Well, who would fall into her own trap? Yuria turned her pathetic attempts into a quality performance. Brother's fists began to clench. Jixin didn't intend to listen to this. Stop attacking Lilica. She is in the worst situation now, and her mother is protecting Yuria because Lilica is not her real daughter. Jixin is simply disgusting. The little rat was afraid to speak out against his father and decided to hit his mother, who loved and raised him all his life. He's just dirt. Jixin can't say anything to his father when he scolds Lilica, and so he easily stabs his mother in the back. Yuria told her brother to become a man and not to attack his loving mother from behind, but to gather his courage and object to his father. There is no point in discussing this between them any further. The second culprit should be invited here. Duke Primrose swallowed nervously, afraid to hear the inconvenient truth about his illegitimate daughter. However, his own reputation is more important to him than any child, so let Lord Veer enter. Jixin immediately screamed hysterically, but the main thing is Lilica's position now. There is no need to call anyone. Let the useless offspring shut his mouth or be disinherited. The father already doubts the nobility of his blood. Jixin wants to be the heir to the family line, but he acts like a slobbering boy who is bossed around by a girl. The Duke does not want to hear anything more. Marcel must answer for everything immediately. Lord Veer never thought that such a stir would arise. Of course, he is stupid. Marcel is only the son of a minor count and is not worthy of the attention of the Duke of Primrose, but he received it. Lord Veer really loves the Duke's youngest daughter and formally asks for her hand. What is this idiot talking about? No, Lilica dreams of becoming a queen. She doesn't need this trash. Marcel's feelings are not mutual. Marcel got it all wrong. She was just being nice to him because he was her sister's fiancé. But the main villain has no feelings for him. What is she talking about? She told him for weeks about her unearthly love. How quickly this cowardly snake got rid of her lover, and such a fate awaits each of her supporters. The liar is shaking with fear, accustomed to creating problems for others, but not having the strength to get out of them herself. In that case, if Lilica supposedly doesn't have feelings for Marcel, why did she give him the scarf? She knew what this gesture meant. No, Marcel himself asked her to make him a handkerchief, and Lilica was simply very kind. How could Lilica refuse her sister's fiancé? But she didn't just give him a scarf. Lilica said that she loves him, but because of Yuri, they can't be together. And although the Duke's illegitimate daughter is incredibly upset by this, she will retain her feelings for Marcel forever. The vile sister was so gushing over this idiot that she couldn't stand to feel sick of herself. It's all a lie. Marcel is just upset. Lilica never said anything like that. Yuri just blew slightly to the side and it caused such a hurricane, and this is only the beginning. Lilica is probably just afraid of her older sister, but she doesn't need to worry about it. For Lady Yuria was so kind to their great love and blessed them. What did Yuri do? What is this idiot talking about? Let this little bastard not even think about dragging Yuri into his and Lyrica's dirt. This is all some kind of misunderstanding. Marcel did not want to offend the Duchess. He should ask Yuria for forgiveness. Enough of this clowning. There was cold steel in my father's voice. This scoundrel first slandered the Duke's youngest daughter, and now he's decided to slander the eldest as well. Yes, Marcel is behaving inappropriately, insulting Lilica and her older sister. What's wrong with her? Marcel was going to make today a gift for himself and the youngest daughter of the Duke of Primrose. However, for some reason, everyone was unhappy with his confession and looked at him with disgust. Jixin has completely latched onto Lilica and won't let her get close to Marcel. But Lilica herself was the first to approach and beg Lord Veer to accept her love, and she cannot lie. So Yuria, the eldest Lady Primrose, lied. So it was all her doing, wasn't it? It is Yuri who intimidates Lilica. That is why she avoids Marcel and carries on all this nonsense. He knows for sure that she loves him. Poor Lilica's blockhead. He's digging his own hole. Why should the girl intimidate Lilica? No one is stopping them. Then for what reason did Lilica, who had sworn her love to him all this time, now reject him? It was only because of Yuri that she was always the villain in this family. The villain has always been right under everyone's nose, but no one even noticed. It's time to take off the masks. Duke Primrose will listen to no more of this. He will not allow such scum to marry any of his daughters. Marcel will never marry either Yuri or Lilik. The Duke of Primrose officially breaks off the engagement and sends a formal letter to the Earl about his idiot son. The mother could not even imagine that her daughter's ex-fiancé would turn out to be such a terrible person. He cheated on her with her sister. He also tried to insult her poor girl. Her mother was so guilty before her because she wanted to marry them. Yuria herself didn't know what kind of person he was. Everything was fine. No need to blame yourself. This slimy freak is also cruel. Then he hit Yuri and dragged him to his father and brother by the hair. Just another life lesson. Yuri is not going to be discouraged. The girl will talk to her father and start breaking off the engagement with this scoundrel. The heroine warmly squeezed the dearest hands on earth. She is most concerned about the safety of her mother. Yuria had wanted to tell her for a long time that she would die very soon, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. However, the girl can tell her mother about her feelings and experiences. From now on, Yuria will take care of everything, and mother should just take care of herself. Family matters are no longer her concern. Mother is in poor health. She can't burden herself like that. Yuria is worried about her. She doesn't need to worry about her daughter. She can handle everything. Let her just take care of her health. The Duchess will be out more often and will support her daughter, protecting her reputation. Mother will not tolerate any rudeness towards her beautiful daughter. In the past, the mother died just a couple of months short of her daughter's 20th birthday. Duchess Primrose fell to the floor and began to choke from coughing. The servants immediately called for a doctor. Mother died of lead poisoning. In this world, it is still added to cosmetics. Since technology develops slowly, many aristocrats died from such poisoning. But my mother was in poor health, she rarely left the house, and hardly used cosmetics. Therefore, she was exposed to the risk of poisoning much less than other noblewomen, which looked suspicious. After all, Uria's mother became the first aristocrat to die from lead poisoning. Uria immediately suspected something was wrong, but she couldn't prove anything, and the others didn't even want to listen to her. The girl literally screamed that her mother practically never used this lead-based cosmetics. After all, it's strange, even with her poor health, such a dosage would not have been enough to cause poisoning. Then the adopted father hit his daughter hard in the face. Why does Uria always need to attract attention to herself? The Duchess had lead powder. She wanted to look good. Uria's mother was as stubborn and proud as her daughter. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Father is disgusted with Yuri. Let him go to his chambers and not dare to disturb anyone anymore. In the past, Mom was the only person who always supported Yuri. Knowing about the threat to her life, Uria simply cannot stand aside. She will protect her mother. After all, only the heroine knows what kind of rotten and deadly infection is spreading in their family mansion. The girl will never lose her only loved one, and he will do everything possible to ensure that mother and daughter are finally truly happy. After what happened, the villainess hid in the corners. Her six was also afraid of losing his inheritance and became quiet. Thanks to this, Yuri could calmly enjoy the company of her beloved mother. The festival starts in a couple of days. They can go there together. Mother will be only too happy to spend time with her girl. Every day spent with her mother was filled with light and warmth. Yuria enjoyed every moment. However, the longer their happiness lasted, the more anxious she became. After all, that fateful day was approaching that would shatter her soul and heart into pieces. But the girl was really smart and understood perfectly well that the Duchess was killed, and it was Lilica who poisoned her. Simple suspicions will not be enough. The heroine will need irrefutable evidence. We need to act immediately and prevent harm to our mother, but Yuria simply has no allies. She has no one to turn to for help, since her rotten sister made everyone turn away from Yuria. What's wrong with my daughter today? She's too thoughtful and keeps muttering something under her breath. Nothing special. Then the Duchess's cheeks turned crimson. Cold sweat began to run down her face, and she began to cough. Mother has such a strong cough, maybe even coughing up blood. Just a minute. When her mother died, the girl examined all her dishes, but found nothing. This means that the poison was mixed into food or drinks, which is why Yuria did not find traces of lead at the time. Yuria wants to immediately talk to their butler about what's going on. The Primrose family's butler knocked on the door of the hall, asking him to come inside. The lady wanted to see the butler. The man immediately stared at his eldest daughter with distrust. The butler's family has served the Primrose family for generations, and he is respected by many. He is a good man, but he does not show due respect to Yuria due to the efforts of Lilica. Apparently considering her unworthy of the Primrose name, the butler led them into the kitchen. What's the matter? The dishes weren't tasty enough. If something's wrong, let Lady Yuria tell the butler. If Yuria needed to go to the kitchen, where she usually doesn't go, then it must look strange. The girl could have scolded someone without the help of the butler, which means something serious happened. It's logical, right? The girl needs the help of a servant. The butler apologizes. He made the wrong conclusions. The heroine asked the butler to accompany her and her mother to the kitchen for a reason. All the servants in the house still doubt Yuri, but the butler enjoys their trust and the influence of his services. Before they enter the kitchen, the butler would like to ask a question. However, the girl didn't even listen. The butler squealed in fear. All the servants froze in their places in shock. Everyone greeted Lady Yuria. What brought the young lady here? Everyone is working here, but all servants must immediately take their hands off the food. Everyone stop. What's going on? Everyone listened to the young lady. All the servants immediately began to look at the butler. Servants must look at their mistress when they hear an order. Everyone should move away from the dishes and food being cooked and watch what is happening carefully. The most terrible thing for Yuria was not her own death. Apparently her daughter would soon follow her mother. Miss Yuria hasn't eaten for 4 whole days, but if her eldest daughter dies of hunger, the servants will be in trouble. Lady Primrose sits in her room all day long and does whatever she does there. The girl tried to find out what happened to her mother and who was to blame, no matter what it cost her, because the most terrible and painful thing for her was to lose her mother. In the previous story, the heroine didn't even think to check her own kitchen in the estate and the servants. However, she now knows that the status-obsessed village fake will do anything. The girl finally figured out how the poison got into her mother's body. It was in the syrup she ate every day. The Duchess added this syrup to her food every day. If that's true, then the culprit is right here now. The heroine will never allow something like this to happen again. She will not allow a rotten, envious, empty shell to take her mother's life. Mother will live, and her daughter will do everything to ensure that she lives long and happily. So all the servants who are involved in preparing food are now in the kitchen. That's all true, but what happened anyway? If something is wrong with the food, the servants will immediately fix it. The girl will figure everything out on her own. If the servant really wants to help, then let her watch carefully. Who would have thought that Lady Yuria could be so strong-willed and literate in giving directions? And why does the young lady have this bag of blue flowers in her hands? What is going on anyway? The girl walked past the puzzled servant straight to the huge pot of her mother's favorite syrup. If the girl's guess is correct, then an obvious reaction will definitely occur. Is there something wrong with the dish for the mistress of the Primrose Estate? Why did Miss Yuria go specifically to the syrup? The young chef wanted to intervene in the process and stop Yuri, but the butler strictly ordered him not to interfere. This plant is called Bakos. It grows and blooms all year round in their kingdom. Bakos is extremely rarely used in practical medicine, considering the flower to be an ordinary field plant. However, only it gives a reaction. Entering into a reaction with lead, what is this black smoke? What is this strange smell? Fumes with a pungent odor appear, which color the lead black, and the flower itself completely dissolves. And here is the culprit. It was with this syrup that the vile offspring killed the mother, who accepted her killer as her own. Cold sweat immediately appeared on the faces of the servants who were busy preparing syrup for the Duchess. A young maid with red hair emerged from the crowd. She was the one preparing the syrup for the Duchess's desserts. This girl is Lilika's maid, and how long has this maid been doing this? Steel flashed in Yuria's eyes. She entered service at the Primrose Estate 6 months ago, and since then the maid has been preparing this syrup. And here's the thing. The butler saw what had just happened. The man bowed respectfully to Yuria. He saw everything. In that case, let him immediately call the guards. They must seize the servant who wanted to kill the Duchess. What? Just now, everyone saw the chemical reaction of a flower to the presence of lead. The pan in which the syrup for the Duchess is prepared is made of lead, which is a very dangerous poison. The maid started shaking. This is some kind of misunderstanding. What lead? Here, the butler intervened. This girl generally understands the seriousness of her actions. She attempted to harm the mistress. The maid is accused of attempting to murder the Duchess. She swears she is innocent. So Darla is the new maid. Let her not be afraid and boldly turn to Lilika if she needs something. Lilika is so kind. She approaches all the servants. The maid works in the kitchen with food, doesn't she? They are the same age. Lilika is so worried about her. Darla cooks desserts. There may be difficulties. It must be hard to make syrup in such a large and heavy pan. She can't complain. But Darla didn't need it. Lilika noticed it herself while the maid was preparing another dessert for the Duchess. Let Darla use only this pan now. It is much more convenient and lighter than the one in the kitchen. Lilika cares so much about a simple servant. It's hard to believe. Let Darla not let her down. The main villain just wanted to make Darla's already hard work easier. No thanks needed. Lilika gave her this pot. She probably didn't know that the cookware was made of lead. So Lilika will certainly explain everything. What explanations? It was a planned assassination attempt. Mother ate this dessert every day, so poisoning and quick death were guaranteed. A flame flared in Yuria's eyes. Let the servants bring the culprit here. All the servants heard their mistress quickly bring Lilika here. Of course, this time too, this festering ulcer will shift all the blame onto another person, taking advantage of the servant's low position. Lilika simply felt sorry for the poor servant, so she handed the pot to Darla. Darla knew that such a kind Lilika would save her assistant, but where did Lilika get these dishes? Well, not far from the street where she grew up, but that shop is no longer there. It soon closed. What street they are talking about? What the merchant looked like? Lilika doesn't remember anything. She is so excited. Lilika brought a saucepan from the gateway and gave it to a servant, and not just any servant, but the one who cooks specifically for the Duchess. It's strange, but Lilika also eats dessert, like Mother and Yuri, so she didn't know that dessert was dangerous. So Lilika just made a mistake. There is no point in drawing attention to her mistake. What a vile scum. As always, trying to get out of it by pretending to be an innocent and naive villager. This piece of trash never ate a single dessert, while the Duchess and Yuria ate them. Every time, this rotten girl insisted that she felt bad from sweets, so she asked Yuri to eat her dessert. Yuria suggested calling a doctor many times, but the snake dodged every time, putting desserts under her and her mother's nose. Lilika has an uncontrollable sweet tooth, but she hasn't eaten desserts for 6 months. This bastard tried to kill both Mother and Yuria at once. The Duchess is older, so the poison hit her faster. Next would be Yuria. Obviously, untested cookware cannot be used for cooking. The would-be killer immediately hesitated. Someone had to be punished for the attempt. And it will be the one who thoughtlessly trusted another. Lilika insisted that Darla cook in this particular pot. What is this stupid maid talking about? She's completely out of her mind. How could Lilika give her untested dishes? Lilica just gave Darla this pot so that she could have it. It's all a lie. The scoundrel definitely said that it was decoration and not cooking utensils, which is not at all true. A poor fool who trusted a vile bastard who would put her under the executioner's axe without a second thought. In her past life, this naive girl would have done whatever Lilica wanted, but now she has lost her second puppet. How is that possible? Lilica definitely forced Darla to cook only in this pot. Let the maid shut up immediately. Everyone present sensed the lie in Lilica's words. It was a victory. This rotten scum is much worse than expected, and now Yuria's revenge will be much more sophisticated. In the end, the poor servant who cooked for the Duchess in untested dishes was punished. It was all a lie. Darla was just following Lilica's orders. The price for blindly adoring the villainess was very high. Darla's punishment was severe and marked the beginning of the end of the staff's goodwill towards Lilica. A lead saucepan because the mistress of the estate could have died if Lady Yuria had not intervened. The Duchess turned pale and began to fall. The butler immediately caught the lady, so that everyone was standing. Urgently, a doctor was called to the estate. Why did Darla do this? What was the new maid thinking? She had no motive. Since then, the scoundrel and her servants lived uneasy. How could Yuria have found out about the planned murder? How? There can be only one explanation for this. One of Lilica's lackeys betrayed her, so she stopped trusting everyone. And the heroine again returned to caring for her mother. This time, the trouble had passed. The Duchess is still in shock. If it weren't for her beloved daughter, her mother wouldn't be sitting here anymore. Mother was very scared and lost weight in a few days. They can't relax yet. The Duchess ate poisoned desserts every day, which affected her health. The daughter doesn't want her mother to come into contact with lead and has prepared something for her. This is a moisturizing skin cream with calendula extract. The girl made this product herself, especially for her mother's skin type. So how is it that the moisturizer actually has a natural floral composition? The mother has dry skin, this cream will refresh it, and powder will no longer be needed, but calendula blooms only at a certain time. That's exactly it, so the heroine had to use her magical ability of blessing. In the novel, the members of the Primrose family possess magical powers that are passed down from generation to generation. This ancestral magical power is usually called a kind of blessing. Yuri's older brother is the firstborn and inherited the special power of the lightsaber. The rotten apple has revealed healing powers that have not yet been fully revealed. And a minor character received the magical power of plant growth. Yuria tested her talent for a long time, but her magical power did not work on either people or animals. Then the girl tormented herself and realized that her inherited gift only worked on plants. Then the heroine blamed herself for the fact that this was all that her magical gift was good for, why she had such a weak talent. Is this really the limit of the girl's magical abilities? After conducting research, Yuria learned something: she could quickly grow plants in any conditions. But that's not all. All the plants that were grown by the girl's power had magical powers. In her past life, Yuria did not have time to find a use for her powers, but this time her gift will bring great benefit to everyone. Mother wants to try her daughter's cream. Of course. Yuria handed her mother the treasured jar. The Duchess applied the cream to her skin. What a pleasant floral scent. The texture of the cream is so light and pleasant. It's simply incredible. The skin instantly absorbs the cream and becomes soft after the very first application. It's great that my mother is not allergic to calendula flowers. It softens and nourishes the skin perfectly. Yuria will help mother with application. With such skincare cosmetics, no decorative cosmetics will be needed. How did mother not notice such talent in her daughter before? Yuria tries so hard in all matters. The daughter does so much for her mother. No one cares about the Duchess like that except Yuri. Mother always filled Yuria's heart with warmth and light. It's the least she can do for her. Meanwhile, it was midday in the kingdom, and His Majesty's castle was shining in the rays of the sun. The butler reported to the Crown Prince that everything was ready for his exit. The Crown Prince, the blood grandson of the current king, the handsome Enoch Piast. The Duchess has only recently joined the society, but she is getting better and better every day. Nothing else was expected from the Duchess of Primrose, but still, all noble ladies would like to know what her secret is. The Duchess is so pleased to hear such things from young beauties. Lady Primrose's skin is so smooth. How did Mrs. Delia achieve such beauty? Nothing special, the Duchess just uses moisturizer. Is it really possible for a moisturizer to achieve such shine and even skin tone? What kind of miracle is this? The Duchess was asked not to talk about it for now, but Delia will tell the ladies everything very soon. How amazing Mother looks, and her eyes seem to have come alive. Yuria has worked hard. Mother began to go out into society more often to defend Yuria's honor, and now there is no talk about the vile couple. All the ladies of the court talk only about the beauty of Duchess Primrose. Mother has truly blossomed. And who created such a wonderful cream? How did Lady Delia meet this brilliant man? One might say she was lucky. You quickly get tired of such attention. Mother has been sent a bunch of invitations. She no longer has time to be bored. Of course, after the furore at the banquet, the Duchess is at the center of everyone's attention, but she would like to spend time with her daughter. That's why Mother declined all the invitations she received. It's great that Mother recovered so quickly. Since the ladies allowed themselves to take a stroll, the Duchess suggests that they go into a sewing shop. The mother never really thanked her daughter for her care, and it's unlikely she ever will be able to. She would like to give her the most beautiful ball gown, since Yuria hasn't gone shopping with her for so long. This is a really warm memory from the girl's childhood. This will be their kind of bachelorette party. Duchess Primrose and her daughter, what a pity the staff were not warned in advance of their arrival. The dress that Lady Delia ordered is already ready. The assistant will help the Duchess try it on. The Duchess still needs to pick out a dress for her daughter. Yuri was offered tea while her mother chooses types of tailoring. Warm tea, a happy and healthy mother next door. What wonderful, peaceful days. I wish they would never end, and Yuri will do everything to make it happen. This day should be promising. Then heavy steps were heard behind the heroine. The steps were followed by a nasty, painfully familiar male voice. Vile Marcel Vieira. What a coincidence that the young people met here. Vieira also came for the dress. This bastard was stalking Yuri and this sharp and unpleasant smell, and he was drunk. Everyone around him only talks about the Duchess and her eldest daughter, but Marcel's life is going downhill, and it's his fault. Yuri lives happily, and why should Marcel endure humiliation? Because this is the least of what he deserves. The insignificant drunk grabbed the girl by the hand and squeezed her wrist tightly. It was all Yuria's fault. Lilica is afraid of her and avoids Marcel. How can a gentleman and knight allow himself to do such a thing? What a shame. What relation could Yuri have to the fact that this idiot fell for obvious flattery and lies and then became unnecessary? Lilica loves him madly. Let this cretin sleep it off and open the remnants of his mind to reality. Yes, it's all Yuria's fault. She scared poor Lyrica, so his beloved is afraid to admit her feelings. This idiot realizes how stupid and insignificant his own excuse for failure sounds. He doesn't even have the courage to admit that he was used as a passable six. What Yuria said, Marcel has always been famous for his stupidity and ignorance, but Yuria has nothing to do with it. Lilica loves him, loves him, loves him, loves him, pathetic attempts to replace reality with convenient fantasies. The bastard began to squeeze the girl's wrist harder. He was going to break her hand now. She would be just as confident after that. Unlike this non-entity, Yuria has honor and dignity, and nothing can take that away from her. How pathetic and cowardly this cretin is, he decided to take out his anger from his own failures on the girl. However, I wouldn't want to break her hands now. Yuria's knights are standing outside and won't hear her. This idiot got drunk, and even when he's sober, he has no control over himself. Something needs to be done. Let the maids quickly call the knights for help. Why are the girls frozen? They want to be responsible for inaction. Here the offspring's wrist was squeezed by a strong male hand. The scoundrel would lose his hand if he swung at Miss Yuria again. It can't be. It's His Highness the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince didn't want to interfere in personal matters. But I couldn't stand aside, seeing what such scum was doing to the girl. Blaming someone, especially your ex-fiancé, for your own uselessness and worthlessness is disgusting. This miserable rabble has lost all the dignity and honor of a nobleman and knight, if the scoundrel ever had any. Where did the Crown Prince come from here? And again the future king came to the heroine's aid at the right time. In the past, this non-entity invited a fake bride to dance instead of his legitimate one in front of all the guests. And he also stated that, apart from her noble origins, she had nothing to offer him, unlike Lyrica. And the lying snake showered this idiot with compliments and declarations of mad love all evening. This cretin needs so little to make him his puppet. How disgusting. Yuri was then publicly humiliated and driven into a corner, convinced that everyone would be better off if she simply did not exist. It was all incredibly cruel and unfounded, but the girl couldn't say anything in response. In the past, Yuria was deprived of everything and everyone. She felt alone against the whole world, involuntarily agreeing with this thought. The heroine could have demanded an apology, but none of them would have been sincere, since the brat had been slandering her for a long time. Then the girl had only one thing left to do, just silently leave the ballroom, having endured such a blow. And the heroine was about to leave, when the thunderous voice of the future king was heard. He was the only one who stood on her side. At what point did noble society begin to consider intimacy between the bride's sister and her groom normal? The crown prince is disappointed by the baseness and ignorance of the court nobility, especially this rotten couple. Then Yuria leaned out of the doorway and saw him, a handsome young man with unshakable dignity and courage. Not only did the pathetic bastard allow himself to make baseless accusations, but he also raised his hand against the girl. This vile scum is a disgrace to all men. His family will be ashamed to know who they raised. Yes, it was all Yuria. This woman used Marcel. That is, Miss Yuria made him cheat on her. Well, no, Yuri deceived him. What? But wasn't it this little rat who proposed to her and ran behind her back to her sister? And whoever deceived whom here, let this scum come to its senses and realize how pathetic and disgusting it is. The Crown Prince has correctly outlined the essence of what is happening. What Lady Primrose will say, everything is correct. The future king speaks calmly but firmly, which makes everyone shut up and listen. The crown prince was famous for his honesty, unwavering strength of spirit, and honor, and this is how Yuria remembered him in the past. Then the frightened duchess ran into the boutique salon. What happened here? How dare this scoundrel pursue her daughter? The daughter is fine, as is her wrist. The duchess will personally tear this worthless thing apart with her own hands. Here, the cowardly little rat quickly turned around and went to the exit. He had a meeting there. It was time for him to go. What a pathetic coward this cretin turned out to be. He just ran away, and how could Yuria ever love such trash? This scum is not worthy of Lady Primrose's attention. What the future king says, she is pleased to hear it, although unexpected. The incredibly handsome young man turned to the lady. He would be glad to examine the girl's wrist. Miss Yuri was very lucky that the bone was not broken, thanks to the intervention of His Highness. However, the skin was severely damaged, and a large hematoma remained on the arm. It's okay. The bruises and abrasions on the girl's skin will quickly heal. Yuria is very grateful that the crown prince intervened and stood up for her. The duchess is also grateful for saving her daughter. There is nothing to be grateful for here. Anyone would have had to do just that. The crown prince went to the tailor at the request of his sister, Vivienne. He did not think that something like this would happen here. Duchess Primrose had not seen the princess for a long time, but she had heard that she was not well. That's true, but the princess is still so young. She will definitely recover. The crown prince is waiting for her recovery so that they can spend time together with their sister, just as the duchess did with Miss Yuria. Yuri knows little about the health of Princess Vivienne, what illness she has. In fact, it can't be said that Vivienne is seriously ill, so what's the matter? The future king very much hopes that the current conversation will remain between the three of them. Since the princess was 10 years old, the condition of her skin has become significantly worse. Because of this, the poor thing does not leave the palace and sees only her brother and a couple of maids. All the assistants were introduced to Vivienne from childhood, so they enjoy the trust of the royal family. However, Vivienne, as a young lady, wants to know about what is happening in society, what people are wearing now, what they talk about at social events, what is happening with other countries. It was for this reason that the future king found himself here at the tailor's today. The princess was interested in what dresses young ladies wear now. Her brother tells her the latest news. In this way, the crown prince hopes to interest his little sister so that she herself will go out into society. The future king told about this for a reason. He had heard about the miracles that happened to the duchess's skin. The crown prince also knows that the duchess did not use cosmetics that contained lead. The future ruler would be very grateful if he were given some useful advice. Of course, the crown prince will pay handsomely for Duchess Primrose's assistance. The prince is also beautiful in soul. He does not take advantage of the fact that he helped Yuria, and does not put pressure on her with his status as crown prince. It's just incredible. The condition of my mother's skin has improved thanks to the cream that Yuria gave her. Well, the crown prince immediately beamed. Maybe this wonderful cream could help the princess too. The girl is very sorry, but it is simply impossible. Each person has their own skin type. Also, this skin type is different on different parts of the face, and individual characteristics must also be taken into account. There are no guarantees that these cosmetics will not worsen the current situation, and Yuri cannot offer the same. Since side effects cannot be ruled out after using the cream, the young man immediately became sad. The crown prince wants to help his little sister so much. He has been taking care of her since childhood. However, the girl did not say that she would not try to help the princess. Yuria needs to meet the princess in person to see her skin type and understand what she needs. What is meant is that the mother's cosmetics were made personally by her daughter. The future ruler was amazed. Such a young lady possessed such talents. It was amazing. A silver moon, Princess Vivienne's wing, shone above the royal castle. Why take food to the princess's chambers? It's so strange. Getting here is a real challenge, and what should she do with the dishes? The maid knocked carefully on the door of the princess's chambers. Dinner was served. However, there was no answer. The maid knocked insistently a second time. The food would get completely cold. Why doesn't the princess answer? There are rumors that she is very ill, and what if the maid gets infected too? The maid was interrupted by the voice of the princess's personal assistant. Apparently the girl was new here. Next time, let her leave the food at the door and just knock. You can't disturb the princess's peace. Her Grace? Princess Vivienne doesn't like this. The assistant knocked. It's Dahlia. Dinner is ready. Only Dahlia remains in the corridor. Let the assistant come in. A few days later, a personal invitation arrived from the crown prince for Miss Yuria Primrose. There is no mistake here. His Majesty is expecting Lady Yuria Primrose and no one else. The future king did not delay his visit to Princess Vivienne for long. The royal carriage was already standing at the mansion. The crown prince has been very close to his younger sister since childhood and really wants to help her get better. When Yuria confessed to the young man that she was making the cosmetic novelty herself, she shocked the crown prince. The future king had no doubt about Miss Primrose's talent and giftedness, but he was still very surprised. It is hard to believe that an aristocrat could make something like this herself, and effective cosmetics are not yet on the market. However, the market is full of tales about wonderful mixtures that only harm the skin, and you have to powder it. Her mother has poor health and she can't use such cosmetics, so Yuria desperately developed her gift. And she succeeded. Now they will believe her. They will believe her words or not. Yuri only asks not to spread about it. In that case, the future ruler would like to ask for a favor. The crown prince asked Yuria to meet his younger sister at the palace. He will need time to persuade her. How would Yuria's life have turned out if she had such a brother? The princess was very lucky to have him. It's time for the heroine to go to the royal palace. Matters cannot be delayed. The knight asks Miss Primrose to go to the royal carriage. They will go straight to the palace. Here, Lilika's nasty little voice was heard. Could this carriage really be straight from the king's castle, where Yuri was getting into? Well, who would doubt it? More than anything in the world, this scum dreams of marrying the crown prince. What the hell did Yuri do to be invited to the royal palace? The black sheep immediately bought his tongue, showing his true ugly face. Oops, it just slipped out. It is becoming increasingly difficult for this stupid, envious woman to hide her identity. She is worried. Lilika is just worried about her sister. Yuria wasn't doing anything important. She shouldn't go to the palace. If it concerns the Primrose family, then it would be better to go to the palace to the prince, namely Lilika. The royal family never gave the snake any peace. She would sacrifice anyone to become one of them. Of course, the villainess's special obsession was the future ruler of the kingdom. The false aristocrat would do anything to rise to the royal rank and desperately pursued his majesty. These greedy thoughts are written right on Lilika's ugly face. Yuria's engagement fell through recently. It's better for her not to attract attention to herself. It's better for Lilika to go. His Majesty's knights immediately looked at each other, how low it was to say such a thing, and to the mistress of the former groom. Yes, this stupid, envious woman completely lost her fear and became insolent. She decided to show up instead of the one appointed by the prince. Lilika will be ready in a minute. Let the knights wait for her. They won't let the impudent lady into the carriage. What? His Majesty wishes to see Miss Yuria Primrose. He doesn't care about her ignorant sister. There is no more time to delay, otherwise they will be late, which is what the knight just said. Lilika should learn some etiquette before saying something like that to her sister in front of the palace servants. Well, Lilika was just excited. It was such a big responsibility, and Yuri definitely couldn't handle it. More precisely, my sister will have a good time in the royal palace. Yuria knows perfectly well that the pathetic, envious woman is ready to pull the skin off her face in rage. The heroine has just begun to reclaim everything that is rightfully hers and was taken away by this brat through lies. Lilika is indeed right. People are saying a lot of things now about the engagement of Yuria and her ex-fiancé. Evil tongues have been discussing for weeks that Lilika seduced Lord Veer, chasing after him for weeks. And in this situation, it would be better to listen to the advice of a more experienced person. As Yuri's mother said, the mistress would do well to think about how she would explain the same color of their clothes to society. Let him try to find a good excuse for why they looked like cowardly lovers in front of everyone. This casts a shadow on the entire Primrose Duchy family, and she doesn't understand it because dirt can't be made noble. No matter what they wrap her in, nothing can hide her true essence. The royal carriage set off, leaving the scoundrel in clouds of road dust. Lilika knew that something was wrong here. Yuria had suddenly changed so much, it was all her doing. And Lilika won't leave this just like that. Yuria will give her everything, and then leave this world. The face twisted into an ugly smile. Everyone should treat her as the main wealth of the kingdom. They will all bow down. Meanwhile, the true main character of the novel had already arrived at the royal castle, and the knight offered her his hand. Welcome to the royal family's castle. Her Highness is already waiting for Lady Primrose. Compared to that vile person, Miss Yuria is incredibly pious. Apparently all the rumors about her are someone's evil intent. Upon arrival at the royal palace, the girl still had a long journey to the princess's residence. Even though the heroine herself suggested a personal meeting with Vivian, she was still quite worried. Miss Primrose is already expected. She is the personal servant of Her Majesty the Princess. Her name is Dahlia. Dahlia leads the guest further through the princess's residence. The knights are forbidden to go further. Everything is so secret. Despite such secrecy, the princess still decided to meet with Yuria. Finally, they reached the princess's chambers. It was Dahlia. Lady Primrose had arrived to see her grace. Let the guest go inside the princess's chambers. The maids have already prepared tea for the lady. It is a great honor for Yuria to meet Her Highness. She represents the Primrose family. Enough unnecessary familiarity, since Miss Yuria is here on a personal matter. Let Lady Primrose pass by and not stand at the door. The tea is very aromatic and spicy. It was specially prepared for the ladies. Yuria took a sip from her cup. The freshly brewed tea was really delicious. The herbs are hand-picked with hints of cardamom and bergamot, making this the princess's favorite tea. However, there was no answer to the question. Her ladyship was studying her guest intently. Yuria will soon go crazy. They have been sitting like this for an hour already. They need to be patient. It must be hard for Vivian. We need to somehow get her to talk before asking about the skin. The princess herself doesn't want to have any contact. Lady Yuria is so sad. Why did her elder brother bring her here? What should they do next? The princess heard that there were many bad rumors about Yuri among high society. That Yuri disgraces the aristocracy, that she is rude, greedy, and envious, and that she brings nothing but trouble. However, Vivian remembers her differently when Primrose's vile, illegitimate daughter called her an ugly monster. The lousy girl claimed that she had the best skin in the kingdom and that the princess would do better to wear a mask on her face. If Lilica had skin like the princess, she would not want to live. This hurt Vivian deeply. Lilica would never leave the house with Vivian's face. All this was cowardly said behind the princess's back. What could this empty shell know, as if Vivian chose this fate for herself? The princess hated herself, her face, and then it became so painful for her that she really didn't want to live. Here Yuria intervened. What kind of ignorant country bumpkin was he pretending to be? How dare he ridicule others being much uglier? Then she alone stood up for the princess and put the insignificant offender in her place. Her brother is also sure that Yuri can be relied upon. As they met, by the way, the crown prince came to Yuri's aid. Her ex-fiancé stalked her, burst into the boutique, and began threatening to kill her, grabbing her by the wrist. And before the scoundrel could break Yuri's arm, the princess's older brother intervened. There were still dark bruises on the girl's arm. What the hell is this? How did this vile brat allow himself to do this? If it weren't for the prince, Veer would have broken her arm. The princess would personally give the order to lock such trash in a dungeon, poor Yuria. How could one think about marrying such a worthless person? If Yuri wants it, he will be arrested today. Everything is fine. What an impulse. So unexpected to see such a reserved princess in such an excited state. The princess said too much, of course. Lady Yuria did not know what kind of insides her ex-fiancé was hiding. The girl is glad that the ice between them has been broken. After all, Vivian is an ordinary girl with the same feelings and experiences. So everyone has a different skin type, so it is necessary to choose products that are suitable for the princess. That's why Lady Primrose has arrived today. Can she look at Vivian's face? A deafening silence fell over the girls. Apparently the princess was having a very difficult time making a decision. This procedure will not take much time and will not be painful. Why should Miss Primrose look at the princess's ugly face? She has been hiding it from everyone for so long. And if Lady Yuria sees the princess's face, she will be able to help her. After all, she is not a doctor or a priest. The princess began to speak sharply. This is her defensive reaction. She still does not know whether she can trust Yuria. But if Vivian agreed to meet the girl, then it means she allows such a thought. It also means that the princess is on the edge and clings to even the elusive hope. As the princess herself said, Yuria is not a doctor or a priest and does not have the appropriate skills. Maybe Yuria's mother was just lucky and Vivian's cosmetics won't work and there won't be any results. But Yuria is here to do everything she can to help. She cannot guarantee the result. However, Lady Primrose guarantees to do everything in her power to help her misfortune. To be honest, her ladyship is amazed. Yuria can't promise anything, and yet she came all this way here. Vivian will trust the girl. Many have promised to help her so many times, but all their words turned out to be a lie. The princess took a deep breath. She trusted Lady Primrose and would show her face. It was clear that the last words were especially painful for the princess, but Her Highness nevertheless made up her mind. The heroine carefully approached the princess and slowly lifted her black lace veil. The skin condition turned out to be worse than expected, and Her Grace is currently undergoing some kind of treatment. The crown prince called priests to help Vivian's sister. But the relief was temporary. Nothing can heal her completely. Even saints and magicians cannot achieve results. That's why Vivian doesn't have much hope for Yuria. Those who were supposed to help the sick spent their holy powers on her. Even if she is cured, her reputation is destroyed. She will not appear among the residents, and loneliness is guaranteed. Yuri doesn't have to try too hard. Vivian is happy with her current life as a hermit. It's her duty to the future king. At first, Yuria wanted to repay the prince with kindness for his help, but now she really wants to help this girl. The girl finished her skin examination and was grateful for the time spent on her. There is no need to thank the princess for her patience. Looking at her ugly face is much more difficult. Her Grace and Lady Primrose left the princess's chambers and headed back towards the exit of the residence. It is best to use lavender or aloe. Lavender is easy to find, but aloe is extremely difficult. But aloe is absolutely necessary to soothe the skin, which means you need to find and grow the ingredients. Lady Primrose can use Vivian's garden at the palace. Few people go there. If something is needed, Yuri will get it. But this is not at all necessary. Yuria will come up with something herself. This is an order, okay. Yuria has already said that she cannot guarantee the result, but her cosmetics are better than powder made from monster bones. Even if Miss Primrose's cosmetics are not suitable, let the princess not use such things anymore. Vivian knows they are useless. Why hide her talent for creating cosmetics? It can bring great success. And also to make the Primrose heiress widely known to the public, Yuria's reputation leaves much to be desired. If it becomes known that the princess has turned to Yuria, her reputation may also suffer. Even Vivian was wary of the girl because of the rumors, although she personally saw how noble and honest she was. And now the princess is ashamed. Yuria should be more confident in herself. There is no need to worry about Vivian's reputation at all. It is unknown which of the two girls has a worse reputation, but Yuria has a chance to fix it, unlike Vivian. How wonderful that the crown prince managed to catch both girls at the princess's residence. The handsome young man beamed with a warm and radiant smile. He was like the sun as the ladies chatted. The older brother did not mention that he was also a chapel. Yuri was glad to welcome his highness. The prince apologizes for leaving Lady Primrose so quickly, although he himself invited her to the palace. Vivian has obviously become close to Yuria. This is the first time she has spoken for so long to someone other than Dahlia. Oh, my brother, how can you not be ashamed? He's asking for it, he's going to get it now, they're so cute. Let him get out of their bachelorette party on his important government business. It's obvious that they love each other very much. The fight between Yuria and Jixin would have ended in a stabbing, and Miss Yuria is already leaving. Unfortunately, it is time for Yuria to return home, in which case the crown prince will see her off. Yuria got into the royal carriage and went home. The princess watched her go. Brother can't believe that his little sister talked to someone for so long and what Vivian thinks. One thing is clear, Yuria Primrose is completely different from other aristocrats. Brother hasn't heard anything like this from Vivian for a long time. Why does she think so? Yuria does not pity the princess because of her illness, neither then nor now. And what does the future king think about Miss Primrose? He met her earlier. The future ruler also has one vivid memory of Yuri from their childhood, just like his sister. This happened around the time both children were about 10 years old. It was then that the crown prince saw Yuria Primrose for the first time in his life, and he remembered her forever. Yuri's smile was warmer than the sun, her eyes were cleaner and brighter than snow. It is difficult to convey this in words fully. Therefore, the future ruler said out loud that he had not yet formed a complete picture of Yuri. So that's how it is. The older brother is so boring, then Vivian went. Has the princess already fulfilled all her obligations for today? She needs to prepare everything for Yuria. Yuria left a list. Let her contact the largest trade guild and order everything from this list. As Her Majesty pleases, let Dahlia not delay. As soon as his little sister and her personal assistant left the crown prince's room, he allowed himself to smile. The main character really hopes that he managed to keep all his cards close to his chest. A few days later, the Primrose Duchy's family mansion was finally here. The main character managed to complete and refine her product just in time. The girl breathed a sigh of relief. She had practically no time left, but everything turned out as expected. Not all the plants took root in the princess's garden, so she used the blessing too often. Because of which she often fainted and scared Vivian with a nosebleed, wondering if it was happening again. The power of blessing has its limits. Yuria cannot produce cosmetics on a large scale. Where is the messenger? He should have arrived already. Then an insistent knock was heard at the door of Yuri's office. What else is this? What kind of impudence is this to bang on the door so tactlessly? Yuri Primrose, Jixin's nasty little voice. Well, of course, who would doubt his ignorance? And what does this stupid cog of a snake need this time? Yuri may be late because of him. Yuri at least sometimes thinks before doing something like that. What the hell did that lousy girl say again? What did the sister plan? Why did she go to the royal family's palace? She dreams of becoming the bride of the crown prince. It sounds so familiar. You don't even have to look at the face of the person saying it. You can immediately see who these words belong to. Why invent that Yuri was invited by the prince himself? Stop drawing attention to yourself already. The butler is forced to interrupt the ignorant gentleman. Her Highness is waiting for Lady Primrose. Wait, how is Her Majesty waiting for Yuria? The princess actually personally visited their estate. Let the hopeless blockhead step aside and not get in Yuria's way. The princess can't be kept waiting. How Yuri managed to pull off something like this, his remaining gray matter still can't understand. Let him not strain himself. Because of Lilica's 6, Yuri is already late. These two always ruin everything. This ignorant and intrusive girl knows how to behave in society. Vivian said 3 times that she needs Yuria, and this stupid girl ignored the princess and pesters her with her senseless chatter. The princess will clarify something. No one cares about people like Lilica. No matter what clothes she puts on herself, her nature cannot be hidden. And for disregarding the royal order, this idiot will end up in prison. Yuria was late and apologizes. Why did this Yuria come right now? Lilica hadn't yet managed to denigrate her in front of the princess. Yuria apologizes. Her sister always behaves stupidly and ignorantly. It is the older sister's fault that she did not keep an eye on her. How dare Yuria humiliate Lilica like that right in front of the princess? She should have gotten to her older brother through her. The princess will turn a blind eye to this shame only because of her attitude towards Yuria. Her so-called sister is very lucky. Her Highness and Yuria turned around and left the living room. What was that just now? When Yuria won the favor of the princess herself, Lilica wanted to cure her and become close to her. What is that in Yuri's hands? Is it really new cosmetics? No, it's still the same cream. But this time she added incense. Yuria noticed that Vivian liked the scent of flowers. Lady Yuria is very attentive to Vivian. If suddenly she doesn't like the scent, the girl will come up with another one. Today, Vivian is not here for the cosmetics. That is, somehow, the princess is still forced to wear a veil. Although she was not completely cured, the princess would like to thank Yuri. Face to face, it's amazing. Vivian's skin has been transformed. It's unrecognizable. It's all thanks to her savior. Vivian also wants them to call each other by their first names, since she and her lousy sister were given the same last name. And the princess is disgusted even to remember this disgraceful woman. Besides, she would like to be friends with Yuria. Yuria would also be happy to have such a friend. She has never had one before, and Vivian is so bright and honest. Vivian is glad to know this. She has already forgotten what it is like to have friends. This is a great honor for Yuria. She will not let Vivian down. The princess already knows this. Both girls will be looking forward to their next personal meetings. This means that Yuria would like to go into trade, which is not a typical choice for a young aristocrat. Well, the girl would like to engage in the sale and distribution of her cosmetics. In addition to Vivian and Mother Yuria, who need skincare products and suffer from various skin diseases. Moreover, when the heroine created the cream for her ladyship, she discovered that it could even heal wounds. And in the kingdom, even the most minor wounds are treated by priests. Not everyone can afford such services. Therefore, Yuri's funds can help those in need. It will really be very useful for everyone. Yuri would be better off discussing this with his brother. The princess is not saying this because they are related. The crown prince really knows a lot about trade. Vivian arranges a meeting for Yuria. A few days later, will the future king be interested in the girl's business plan? Having a future ruler as a business partner is an incomparable advantage over competitors. It will be possible to not sell cosmetics under your own name, which will solve the problem of reputation in society. The girl is so nervous before meeting the crown prince. She'll think about it later. Now she's walking into her house, where a gang of profit-hungry hyenas is waiting for her. And now the beloved daughter has returned, which is how much the father devalues his word. It is true that Princess Vivian personally came to their estate just to see Yuria. The butler intervened. Everything is so. The princess arrived to personally thank Miss Yuria. She respects her very much. Even the duke, with his status, hadn't seen the princess for several years. Disgusting. One of her killers is now playing the proud father. And he feigns concern for Vivian's health because he sees it as an opportunity for himself. Yuria can't say anything. It must be important to keep it a secret. But next time their family should be more careful. Their meeting was almost interrupted by those who dared. The butler nodded. The princess was furious and almost put Lilica in prison because of her ignorance and obsession. Lilica openly ignored the princess's orders and offered herself in Yuria's place. She also interrupted her highness and delivered frankly senseless monologues parallel to the princess's words. The butler had long since seen the true faces of all the duke's children and openly spoke of the shame of Jixin and Lilica. How dare these two useless brats disgrace the duke's family like that, and in front of a member of the royal family at that? Where are these two? Immediately called Jixin and Lilica to the office. It's not enough for Lilica to have brought the recent shame upon the duke's family. She is still called Viera's mistress. And the stupid offspring, who is aiming for his father's place, was thinking of making her highness wait. They apologized to their older sister, and only she saved the family from shame and the ignorant Lilica from prison. The fake relatives were forced to apologize to Yuria this sweet moment. Each of them was involved in Yuria's death, and day after day they poisoned her, depriving her of her last hope. This storyline of the novel will be completely different, so let them get ready. Their ending will now be deserved. Well, it was a nice moment, but the heroine has no time for fun. Today is an important day. The girl was met by the handsome heir to the throne. The court of heroes began to discuss what Yuri thought about the crown prince's proposal. Before answering the crown prince, the girl would like to say something. If the prince is interested in selling cosmetics only because he wants to repay her for helping his sister, then it's not worth it. Helping Lady Primrose has nothing to do with this. The crown prince is genuinely interested. The fact that cosmetics can be used for medicinal purposes is very important. Its business has huge potential. The formula for each cream must be selected individually. This is especially intriguing. And the crown prince would like Miss Yuria to explain such needs in more detail. And even if Lady Yuria wants to sell her products only for cosmetic purposes, it will still bring great benefits. So the heir to the throne is interested in any case. The crown prince asks interesting questions. It is best to entrust the management of the company and its development to different people. These are different sectors of business. You can also list the ingredients on the labels and initially give out samples for free. A small amount of product will allow people to decide whether the product is suitable for them to buy or not. Great, by distributing the product in densely populated areas, you can attract those who are not interested in cosmetics. In that case, they can move on to cooperation. Just a minute. Didn't His Highness say that he was interested in Yuri's business, not out of gratitude? That's right. What's the problem? Then the crown prince should make a proposal and explain why it would be more profitable for Yuri to cooperate with him and not with someone else. And she is good. The crown prince is a potential investor, but that doesn't mean Yuri should work with him. This is Yuria's product, and she has the right to choose if other investors appear. Of course, the girl trusts the future ruler. Soon the main villain will become a saint. And in the matter of fighting the nobility, the word of a member of the royal family carries the most weight. Yuria must make it clear that she deserves his choice. An excellent question that no one has ever asked before. The Crown Prince will clarify the work of the trade guilds, which are subordinate to members of the royal family. Afterwards, they move to a mutually beneficial agreement. All investments would be exclusively under the prince's name. Yuri is looking forward to working with his investor, as is the prince with the administrator. The girl would like to keep her administration a secret. If Yuria's involvement is found out, it won't help her case in any way. The risk is too high, especially at the stage of getting to know a new product. It's not just her business anymore. Better to reduce the chances that something could go wrong. Yuri was completely hounded by false gossip. The prince will no longer allow people to judge her by someone else's orders. People will draw conclusions by right. The future king will keep it a secret and completely trust Yuria. The crown prince and princess trust her for a reason. Yuria immediately blushed and hurried away. She is very grateful, but why does she always thank the prince? The contract is signed, so it's time for her to go home. What does the crown prince do? When did the handsome young man manage to get so close? There was a lint in the hair of the business partner. The girl is about to burn with embarrassment. His fingers are so gentle and warm. Stop. What is she thinking? She could have removed Yuri herself, but thanks. Again, Miss Primrose thanks the young man. He has completely embarrassed her. You shouldn't do this to other ladies. They might get the wrong idea. The crown prince will be more careful, which is why he smiles. Could Lady Yuri like another cup of tea? There is at least something bad in it. She can't get used to the attention of such a young man. It's just politeness. The prince will become a great ruler, and she will be just a minor character. However, Prince Enoch's story is heartbreaking, and he uses a smile to overcome his difficulties. Then the royal carriage capsized, and Enoch's mother and brother died right before his eyes. The prince was also seriously wounded and very frightened, but he continued to crawl towards his family. When the future King Enoch was still a child, his parents often and loudly quarreled. Every time something like this happened, Mother Enoka would go to her parents to calm down. That day, the prince begged to be taken with him. Enoch, along with his brother and sister, climbed into his mother's carriage. But the royal carriage overturned on the road through the forest. It was a terrible, bloody picture. Only Enoch and his younger sister Vivienne survived that terrible day. The prince didn't even have time to grieve before his father began to blame the boy for everything, and Enoch, horrified, believed it at first. If the son had not forced his mother to take him, his brother and sister with her, this would not have happened. The crown prince was to blame for everything. His own father branded Enoch a murderer, and the boy was drowning in guilt and despair. But soon the disgusting truth came to light. His so-called father had arranged the death of his wife to make his mistress a queen, but he blamed his own son for everything. When Enoch's grandfather, King Laird, learned of this, he disowned his son and sent him to rot in prison. And the throne will go to Laird's grandson. Such a brat cannot tarnish the honor of the royal family, the father then screamed with rage. He was promised the throne since childhood. How can King Laird do this to his son? The murderer never repented of what he did. The grandfather believes that his grandson will cope with the responsibilities placed upon him by the king. Then the orphaned prince froze in horror, because King Laird did not praise his grandson at all, as his grandfather did. And he placed all his expectations on the shoulders of a small and wounded boy. Enoch knew very well that grandfather Laird really hoped that his grandson would not turn out like his son. Years later, the former son of King Laird returned to the capital already in a coffin, and his grandfather organized the funeral. Behind his back, people whispered, saying that the killer of the royal family died of illness, although he was in good health. Those terrible rumors must be true, and King Laird got rid of his unwanted son. For many years, the prince hated and despised his father, who deprived him of his mother and brother and made him believe that it was his fault. However, then the little prince thought about something else. What if all this was not a rumor at all, and the grandfather really did kill his former son? Enoch's heart began to beat faster. His pupils dilated with horror. He understood that for any misdeed, the same could happen to him. The butler approached the crown prince and asked if everything was all right. Then the little prince turned around and walked towards the exit. He needed fresh air, but the funeral was about to begin. The future king began to run as fast as he could, as if a wild and bloodthirsty beast were chasing him. He was afraid of how long he would be able to live up to his grandfather's expectations, how long he would be the ideal grandson. From now on, Enoch will always be compared to his murderer father and will be treated much more harshly. And the most important thing is that if one day the prince does disappoint the king, then the grandfather will get rid of him too. Poisoned by fear and despair, Enoch did not notice how he crashed into a girl with silver hair in the garden. This girl turned out to be Yuria. She turned around in fear at the crown prince. Why is his highness here in the garden? Prince Enoch looks very scared. Can she help him? Red eyes, silver hair, must be in front of Prince Yuri Primrose of the duchy. The prince scared the girl so much that she already thought that a monster had attacked her. The future king's lips stretched out nervously, meaning that the girl didn't mean that. Yuria didn't mean that his highness looked like a monster. It was all her imagination running wild. What if Yuria is right? The girl probably doesn't know, but the crown prince's own father was a real monster. And Enoch is his son, he has the blood of a monster in him. Doesn't that mean the prince is a monster too? But in that case, the charming Princess Vivian must also be a monster, mustn't she? Yuria's words shocked the crown prince. How could his little sister not be a monster? But Prince Enoch and Princess Vivian are brother and sister. The same blood flows through their veins. Doesn't Enoch think his sister is a monster? Vivian can't be a monster, so the prince isn't a monster either. Why does the future heir to the throne think of himself differently? Enoch never really thought that Vivian was a monster. It was impossible, and they really did share the same blood. On the most terrible day of their lives, the future king tightly hugged his crying little sister. Vivian was so small and defenseless. He promised to always protect her. Why does the prince say things about himself that he would never say about his little sister? Can't the crown prince be as kind and fair to himself as he is to his sister? No one had ever said such words to him before. Only dark and terrible rumors circulated around Enoch. Many felt sorry for the boy, but since childhood they noted how Enoch was ahead of his age and development. The nobles and nobility praised the prince and believed that the future of the country was in good hands, but no one thought about how Enoch himself felt. But that day, the girl he saw for the first time told him exactly what the boy needed to hear. Of course, Yuria is still too young to talk about such serious topics, but she is sure that when she becomes an adult, she will say the same thing. The crown prince beamed. Yuria had helped Enoch a lot. He would remember her words. That day, the frightened boy was reborn. Enoch returned to his grandfather with his back straight. How dare his grandson run away? The prince asks for forgiveness, his head is spinning, but it will not happen again. And the grandson also dares to assure his grandfather that Enoch will become a great king for his state, and the future heir to the throne will surpass his grandfather during his reign. Delight appeared in King Layard's eyes, and grandfather laughed loudly. That's better. A wayward boy. This is exactly what his grandfather was waiting for. This is how his grandson should be. From that day on, the little prince was no longer afraid of anything or anyone. Yuria became his support and starting point. The future king firmly decided that he would write his own destiny. He would not be like his father. And he will not be like his grandfather. His path will be difficult and complex, but Enoch will go through it with dignity. And every time the crown prince began to doubt something, he remembered Yuri. Her words gave him strength, and from that day on, Enoch never saw his guiding star again. Therefore, the prince's feelings for Yuria were vague and unformed. However, when the prince and Lady Primrose were already grown up, Enoch wanted to approach her every time. Come up and say that Yuri is his first love. Meanwhile, the heroine looked after her mother. She needed more rest and drink water. It's just a common cold. Your daughter shouldn't worry so much. She'll get better soon. Because the Duchess often attended social events for Yuria, she overexerted herself and fell ill. Mother is very proud that Yuria opened her own business together with the prince. This thought gives her strength. For the Duchess, this estate and Yuri's father were the whole world, but she wants her daughter to spread her wings. Mother won't tell anyone anything, so Yuri shouldn't worry. The girl is very pleased with her mother's support. She will try her best for her and others whom she can help. The door to the Duchess's bedroom creaked and a nasty false voice was heard. How is Mother feeling? Lilica was so worried about her, of course, because she didn't manage to kill either Mother or Yuri. This time Yuria stared predatorily at the potential threat. This rotten spawn decided to harm her mother again. Lilica decided to visit her mother and brought her a fragrant bouquet of flowers to lift her spirits. The villainess stretched into a cloying smile. She so hoped that her mother would get better. The snake was crawling closer and closer to Yuri's mother's bed. Just a minute. There were white lilies wrapped in purple craft paper. What a nasty little thing. An almost animal-like roar was heard. What was going on? Why was Yuria screaming like that and looking intently at his little sister? Yuria instantly loomed over the villain like a threat and snatched her bouquet. Lilik knew what kind of flowers they were. White lilies are given to honor the dead. In a past life, the scoundrel gave them to Yuria's mother, driving her to an attack. Then Yuria hit the villain. The fake bitch wants the Duchess to die quickly. Lilica was simply mistaken. Jixin immediately came running to the screams of the villainess. What is Yuria doing? She has completely lost her head. This idiot saw what she did. The snake gave their mother white lilies. That's nonsense. Where would these flowers come from here? There are no white lilies growing in their garden. This crazy woman has completely lost her mind and hit her own sister. While Jixin was yelling at Yuria, the vile Lilica threw the bouquet into the fireplace and got rid of the evidence. Lilica just wanted to please Yuria's mother, but she became so jealous that she beat her. Her face even swelled up. This time, the girl won't fall into this trap. She knows everything, so Lilik knows what kind of flowers these are. These are white lilies. What's wrong with them? Of course. Stupid and unteachable, Lilica doesn't know the meaning of the flowers. Who gave Lilik these flowers? It was one of her maids. The assistants froze in horror. The maids did not cover up the rotten Lilica and immediately announced that she had brought this bouquet herself. This is why these stupid maids didn't cover for their mistress. Lilica grimaced with anger. The villainess began to shake with fear of Yuria and reached for the flowers. She would get rid of them, that's how it is. An illiterate fake does not know elementary things. This cannot be left just like that. This will have a terrible impact on their family's reputation. Here comes Jixon. Let him see what his sister brought. Why did Lilica bring white lilies to their mother? Well, she didn't know anything. She was just kind and wanted to please her. Of course, poor Lilica couldn't have done something like that on purpose. Let her calm down, what an idiot. However, those responsible for Lilica's education must be held accountable for such things. This is the duty of the governess Lilica, and here she is, meaning Yuri. How could Lilica not know the meaning of flowers? This could only have happened due to the governess's oversight. Yuria is indeed right because Lilica would not have done this on purpose, which means it was her teacher's mistake. No, she is the best governess in the kingdom. Lilik likes her, but it is precisely because of her that she brought these flowers now. And what if other people find out about Lilica's mistake? Her father will definitely return her back to the dirt after a new wave of rumors. Therefore, we cannot allow the Primrose family's reputation to suffer once again due to Lilica's ignorance. So the teacher responsible for this situation will have to be fired. That's how it is. Lilica really did bring white lilies, yes, and she claims that she didn't know the meaning of the flowers. Itora is the best governess in the kingdom, and the meaning of flowers is the basis of etiquette, so this is impossible. Yuria believes her, but the Duke is furious and asks to replace the governess with another. She is very sorry. The girl handed over an envelope with Primrose's family seal. This was personal compensation from Yuria. This is a letter of recommendation from the Duchy of Primrose, just in case, with it, another job will quickly be found. The dismissals seem unfair. This letter should cheer the teacher up. To be honest, the governess used to believe all these rumors about Yuri, but now she sees that it's all a lie. Rumors really do have a terrible power. Once one starts them, their flow cannot be stopped. As Lady Yuria rightly said, rumors really do have a terrible power that can drown. Let Madame Tiller take care of herself. Itore was pleased to get to know Miss Yuria better. I wonder what Madame Tiller will turn this story into. She knows so many important people. For many years, Lilica poisoned people with lies, staged accidents in order to knock Yuria off her pedestal. She called herself the treasure of the Primrose House and convinced everyone that they called her that behind her back. The villainess spent so much effort to cloud the eyes of others and hide her true nature. Also that she too would be considered a noble aristocrat so that she could get to the crown prince. But Lilica can't do anything because of that damn Yuri. She's always been much smarter than all the girls. She always bathed in admiration, while Lilik needed to flatter others for weeks to be allowed to come close. Lilica is not gifted with talent, honor, and dignity, but she will do anything to achieve her goal. Lilica was sure that once she got to the estate, everyone would immediately worship her, but everyone noticed only Yuri. All invitations were only for the illegitimate daughter, and not for the ignorant rabble. Yuria was the only one who immediately understood who Lilica was, but they didn't believe her because the villain had started to denigrate her earlier. Lilica quickly came up with the perfect plan to make everyone love her and get rid of this noble Yuria. Yuria was very worried about her mother, so she easily became angry if she saw a threat towards her. Lilica provoked Yuria and made it look like the poor girl from the village was being beaten by her older sister for no reason. Besides, Lilica courted every person and showered them with a lot of compliments. Who wouldn't like that? The aristocrats quickly fell for the lie and considered Yuria to be an evil, terrible sister. This is how the illegitimate offspring was admitted into society. Lilica continued to play on pity, pretending to be an innocent victim of the spoiled Yuria. Yuri's father and brother turned out to be incredibly stupid for aristocrats, so they were the easiest to deal with. Lilica herself was not particularly smart, but she had enough dirty lies. Madame Tiller also praised her, and she played a big role in spreading information about how good and unhappy Lilica is. And Yuria is a villain who tortures her poor little sister. But one day, everything went wrong. Yuria suddenly changed dramatically and dared to believe in herself. And it happened right on Lilica's birthday. What a curse. The villain was always afraid of Yuria, but before her changes, she was not dangerous. It all started with a pink dress. Nobody knew about its color. Yuria also guessed about the lead saucepan that she gave to the stupid servant. And even the white lilies played against Lilica and not Yuria. Everything should have been different. This girl somehow found out everything and turned all of Lilica's plans against her. Even the servants were on her side. Father and brother, now they all consider Lilica a nuisance. Even Itora, the guide to a bright future, cursed her. But what angers the villainess most is that Yuri was invited to the king's palace, which is what Lilica always dreamed of. Lilica tried tirelessly to get into the palace, and Yuri was invited there. She will never forgive her for this. If only this universal favorite would simply disappear. Lilica's personal qualities cannot defeat her, so she will play low. She may be disgusting and rotten, but no one will ever know about it, and Lilica needs the damn crown. She just needs to keep going as usual. Yuria can't hold the line forever. Lilica will take everything from her, deprive her of her mother, and make the royal family fall in love with her, and Yuri will disappear. Everything that Yuri has must belong to the villainess, everything, down to the last, nothing will be left for her. However, the determination of the pathetic, envious woman did not last long. Everyone had already heard it. This ignorant girl brought a lead saucepan to the estate and also gave white lilies to the Duchess. But Lilica was Madame Tiller's student, and now they always say that the best governess is a dummy. But all the ladies studied with her. What a humiliation. And training with Madame Tiller cost a lot of money. This stupid Lilica made a mistake, but she blamed everything on their teacher. They accepted her despite her dirty origins. And how this empty shell repaid them, that's the difference between dirt and noble blood. They respond to good with evil. The rotten heroine couldn't stand it and immediately flew up to the aristocrats. They should have watched themselves better. They call Lilica stupid and worthless, defend the honor of their teacher, and Lilica's father is many times richer than them. What a shame to cover up her baseness with the wealth of the Primrose family, to which she is not even directly related. And Lady Dravel realizes that her family owes a lot to the Primrose family, how the girls did not notice such rottenness before. So the families of these noble girls are nothing compared to the Primrose house. Let them just tell her something again. Let the ignorant and vile Lilica immediately shut her mouth and apologize. Father Yuri's money will not cover up her rottenness. Each person is responsible for their own misdeeds. Stop disgracing the Yuri family name even more. Yuri asks to forgive this baseness. Lilica is really going through hard times now. The girl is ready to apologize instead of Lilica since she refuses, but also asks not to raise these topics again. Yuria is so kind and noble, and the street girl showed everyone her true face. The ladies warmed a real snake around their necks. What a relief that they opened their eyes in time. The crowd of court ladies immediately began to whisper about the baseness of Lilica and the incredible eldest daughter of the Primroses. This is really happening. All these idioms should be admiring Lilica, not Yuria. Now Yuria has become the flower of noble society, and this after so many years of persecution and a ruined reputation. The lady is fine, yes, it's just that none of the girls expected this from Lilica. She held back her guts for a long time. And the rumors about Miss Yuria are clearly the result of someone's intervention. And as Lilica's behavior showed everyone today, you shouldn't rush to judge people. Wow, why does Lilica leave the festive event so quickly? She adores them. Lilica hasn't been herself lately. It's she who's not herself. It's Yuria who's suddenly changed rarely. Why did Yuria suddenly start to stand up for herself and others? Why did she suddenly decide to step out of her shadow? Lilica doesn't know why she suddenly changed so much, but she won't let her work go to waste. Finally, the dirt has shown its true face, and this is just the beginning, so let him get used to it. The crew is ready to depart. Please let Lady Yuria step aside. Yes, let the knight not let poor Lilic's evil sister get close to her. She's scared. So Lilica returns home. Yuri has a good time at the banquet. Lilica is fine, yes, thanks to the brave knight, which means she still has blind puppets. The heroine believed that Lilica was already alone and needed to be deprived of more gears. This knight was clearly hostile, which means it was definitely the work of a snake. Rumors of Lilica's behavior have not yet reached the knights, and she will soon become a saint, so they need to act quickly. We need to separate the lousy heroine from the knights. That would be a strong move. So some time passed after the banquet, but Yuria could not forget the look of that knight. Lilica only began to reveal her ugly insides a little. And knights are always the last to know all the gossip, and even then, for the most part, it is already modified. Knights living in the service of the duchy live in a separate building. The rumors about Lilic can't be true. She was probably slandered by the evil Yuria. The knights must help the poor girl and protect her from the villain. Lilica would kill any of them if it suited her. They don't see the most terrible monster right in front of their noses. First of all, you need to leave the brat alone. Without the puppets, she is nothing. The heroine was walking along the corridor of the mansion and heard screams. Lilica hasn't eaten anything since last night. Why is the maid so stupid? Lilica said that she was not hungry, but the maid was worried. Go away, Lilica wants to be alone. Jiru was recently dumped by her lover. It's all because she's so stupid. Jira adored Lilica. Essentially, they have the same status, but the scum clearly considers Jira to be dirt. The maid was shaking. How was Jira feeling? Lilica is upset, but she shouldn't have said that. How low this is, yes. This is such a revelation for everyone except Yuria. Lately, Lilica has completely crossed all boundaries. Yuri will take away every last bit of support from the villainess. What kind of dress to wear to meet a prince? It should be invisible. Mother shouldn't worry so much. It's all part of the plan. They must meet with Prince Enoch and decide where their boutique will be. The young people wanted to inspect everything personally, hiding their identities. The crown prince will also be dressed like this, then mother can rest easy. It's time for Yuri. They will meet at this place in the evening. Yuria was worried that this outfit would attract even more attention. But there are so many people around, and no one looks at the heroine. And how can a girl find a handsome prince in such a crowd of people? The future king apologizes for being late. He is incredibly handsome in everything. That is, Yuri is glad to welcome his lordship. The crown prince came so quietly and unnoticed, they can begin. The business partners succeeded. No one recognized them. Yes, they really weren't recognized, but there is one problem. Absolutely everyone is staring at the young people, or more precisely, at the handsome young man. What is the point of hiding your identity if such beauty leaves no one indifferent? And what if a journalist notices them and publishes a scandalous article? Then you can say goodbye to Yuri's business right away. Why is Lady Primrose so serious today? Yuria got nervous because Enoch looked good. It's just a joke. No need to try to kill him with your eyes. She really looks worried. Maybe one more joke. No need. In fact, she feels incredibly calm and at ease around Enoch. Not a single building suited them. This one had a tree in front of the entrance. And the second building had an unfortunate layout. They won't give up, and Yuria has already come up with a name for the boutique. Yes, Yunetta, in the ancient language it means morning. This may be too grandiose a name for a cosmetics store, but good cosmetics at an affordable price will change a person's life, as will the opportunity to meet another soul. Cosmetics will heal the emotional wounds caused by the skin condition of a princess. Making money is also important, but Yuri sees this as his main goal. A smile appeared on the handsome young man's face. This is indeed an apt title, and there is a product that everyone should have, even the prince doesn't know about. Vivienne's problem is solved, so there is no longer a need for a prince. Isn't the prince hot because summer is almost here? Long exposure to the sun leads to water diseases, and the prince and knights train in the mountains. Therefore, their skin will be exposed to the scorching sun for days. In the training arena, all the knights were covered in blisters. There is no such cosmetics in this world yet. It is an excellent new product. A cream that protects facial skin from the sun. After a long search, the ideal building was found. The boutique will be located in the very center of a crowded area. The building is 2-story, with a store below and an office above. The interior is suitable. No need to spend money on repairs, just a gift for their venture. Business partners found the ideal option on the very first day. The young people found it unusually easy to understand each other. They are looking forward to everything that the future has in store for them. Prince Enoch is impressive in his knowledge. He is truly interested in trade. But the young man is more impressed by Lady Yuria, who did not study business. She can handle criticism but not compliments. It's late. The prince takes Lady Yuria to the mansion. The streets are well lit, and the Duchess's carriage is not far from here. And Yuria has a magical artifact for protection, but it has a limited number of activations. It would be better for Miss Yuria to leave the amulet for emergencies. The knights would immediately report their meeting with Prince Jixin or Lilica. At first, the father would have been happy, but upon learning that Yuri would be heading his own business, he immediately forbade it. Therefore, the girl only has an artifact for protection. It is an honor for the crown prince to accompany Yuri. And here comes Yuri. It's already so late outside, his mother is waiting for her daughter. The girl felt sorry that she made her mother worry. She didn't walk the streets alone. Prince Enoch accompanied her. Really, personally, Enoch is a very good person. She is lucky. Yes, he is wonderful in all his manifestations, that's okay. The young people were lucky enough to finish it in one day. This is great, they both did a great job. They also came up with a new product that Yuri can't wait to get started with. For the first time, she is doing something she enjoys and can even discuss it with her mother. On this beautiful night, the girl has nothing to be sad about. Well, finally, brother came back. Vivienne waited for Enoch, at least not for too long. It was quite long, but she had time to enjoy her tea. Well, how did it all go? They found a place for a boutique. How is Yuri doing? Vivienne was worried that Yuri would be embarrassed to express his opinion. This little sister definitely doesn't need to worry about this. The girl sometimes seems timid, but she has amazing strength. Yuria is used to being criticized and rejected all the time. But during her conversation with Enoch, she seemed to be transformed. She takes business seriously and negotiates confidently and has an interesting perspective. She has great intuition. It was hard to believe that she was running a business for the first time. Why did my brother withdraw into himself and become silent? Let him tell me. Vivienne has nothing to worry about. Yuria is simply incredible. The prince remembered each of their conversations with special warmth. Having taken up her favorite business, all her shackles seemed to fall away. Yuria was so happy. Enoch had never met such an unusual and bright person. He told me everything in detail. It's a production secret. Today the prince saw the real Yuria. No one had ever seen her like this. And I really want to know what else she could be like. The next day, the girl had already made the first new product. Block on the left, attack on the right. The knights' training began early in the morning. One young man burst into the arena and announced that they had a guest. Apparently, Lilica decided to visit them. Wait, it's not Lilica at all. If Lilica had come here with a basket, there would have been poison in it. A deafening silence fell on the practice court. What this villainess has planned, well, as expected. Naturally, after Lilica's delirium, the knights treat her with distrust. But after they try the product, their opinion will change. The knights of the duchy are known everywhere. It is an honor to join their ranks. The greatest glory was brought by the child of the Duke of Primrose, blessed with the gift of the sword. 5 wins in a row, that's the power of blessing. Jixin took his gift for granted, relying only on it and doing nothing to develop it. while other boys were devoting themselves to training. The other knights quickly realized that Jixin was not worthy of his gift. And without the blessing of the primrose blood, he's nothing but trash. Jixin made fun of every worker while drinking juice in the shade. He spent his days idle, relying on his gift, considering it his personal merit. The discontent of others grew, and then a villain appeared. Lilica began to recruit Jixin and the other boys through flattery. The villainess pretended to be kind and pure, and this did not change over time. Feigned care and kindness did their job after Jixin's mockery. The sun is scorching, the skin is burning, and all the doctors' places are taken by aristocrats. Is it possible to do this to knights? Their skin is covered in blisters. And this idiot is shining as usual, although he hasn't even held a sword. But he still ran to the priest after every training session. The knights couldn't do this anymore, then Yuria put the basket on the floor. What is the guy doing? Do they have a choice? He is about to die from pain. Who knows what that evil girl gave them? What difference does it make? They have no other choice anyway. The knight applied Yuria's cream to his skin, and his expression immediately changed. Meanwhile, the humiliated Lilica decided to crawl out of the room. She spent several days in the room, and no one cared. Jira usually talks nonstop. What's wrong with her? Lilica wants to look at new dresses. Jira wants to go with her. If the lady so wishes, why the reserved tone? Jira followed her around like a little tail. It was easier for her to manipulate. It's because of what Lilica said, and how funny it is for Jira to change her attitude. However, we can't let Gina talk. We need to feed her again. So this stupid girl is crazy about knights. Jira just broke up with her fiancé and will be delighted. The maid likes the knights' training grounds. Lilica can introduce Jira to the knights of the duchy. Some knights even asked about Jira. Is it true? It was as easy as pie, but stupid Jira will still pay for her insolence. The knights adore Lilica. Now she will bathe in their attention. What's going on here? Where have all the knights gone? Why is no one meeting Lilica? The knights surrounded Yuria and did not take their admiring glances off her. What the? Jira squealed contentedly and ran to Yuria, and she followed suit. Even the knights don't care about Lilica when they all started bowing down to Yuria. Yuria would like to introduce Jira to this charming young man. The knight saw Jira here several times. The villainess cowardly fled. So that's how it is. This is not the end yet. What is it like to feel your own persecution? It can't be. Even the knights are at this girl's feet. How is that possible? It is obvious that the opinion about Lilik has changed. She has revealed herself. And what should she do now? She is not as smart as Yuria to come up with strategies. What's wrong with Lilica, of course, Brother Jixin? This stupid idiot will always serve the villain. Did Lilica overheat or something? Jixin will help his sister. Just let her tell him what's wrong. And here comes Lilica's counterattack. Yuria's long-awaited end has come. Lilica started to cry theatrically. It was all Yuri's fault.